I don't have a poor connection. $62. Hi, what's up, guys? Damn, 68 already. Damn, 71 already. How you guys doing? Good evening, everybody. Get this chair up. Peace, brother. How you guys doing? Peace. Bliss. Yo, much love. Ruben, how you doing? Sniper, Givole, homie, how you doing? Sniper, shout out to Sniper, Dueñas. You guys go ahead and give him a follow. Good homeboy, got some good cultura stuff on his page. A lot of G shit, you know, for the homies in the active 90s. Go give him a follow. I hope you guys are having a good night, a good evening. Was cracking Marvelous Raider. Shout out to Marvelous Raider as well. Thank you for joining in, everybody. I appreciate all you guys. Much love to Echo Park. All you guys that are taking time out of your evening to join my page in this live, you know. I really appreciate all you guys. All my love and respect goes out to all you guys that are tuning in. Under the circumstances that have come, you know. It's a sad thing that it's taking this that all this stuff had to transpire for us to have this live tonight, you know. There's the bad things that transpired out of this, but there's a lot of good that will come from it as well. Much love, Cudahy, Long Beach, from Texas, all love. So, yeah, what I want to say first of all, is during this live, I want to ask that you guys just please pay attention to things that are going to be said. I want to ask that you have some respect for the girls that will be talking, and have some compassion for, you know, for what they've been through and what they're currently going through, and just show some support, you know, because nobody really knows what somebody's going through or the circumstances that somebody is put in until you're at that point yourself, you know, such as being addicted to drugs, people going through problems or depression. You never know what somebody's going through until you're put in that position, you know, to deal with it yourself. And you know, I just want to use my platform not only for tattoos, but to bring awareness to, you know, whatever I can, you know. Like I said, it's sad that these are the circumstances that are in connection. But hey, you know, a lot of good will come out of it. And like I said, just keep in mind to show some respect to, you know, the strong women that had the courage to come forward and expose what was going on, you know. Much love, San Diego. So yeah, please don't be rude. If you guys have any questions afterwards and you guys want to ask anything and they want to answer, then, you know, they'll go ahead and do that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. If you girls want to go ahead and call in, and we'll start like that. We'll do one by one, or I don't know how to do all you guys. I think I could have all you guys join in at the same time, but go ahead and call and we'll get started with this. Another thing I want to say real quick before we do get started is, you know, a lot of people push the issue that, you know, it was about him being white and, you know, all this and that. First of all, the Choloani or Choloane story that was brought, for the most part, it wasn't his. He was reading he was reading from a paper. It wasn't something that he wrote himself or came up with. I'm sure he had probably, I mean, he's educated on a lot of our cultura, but you know, he didn't write that himself. That's somebody else's. And when they come forward and they want to present or you know, bring that to light, they'll do that. And out of respect from me to them, I won't be giving their name out or anything. And like I said, I come with facts. This ain't nothing that's hearsay or anything like that. Everything that I'm bringing to light or anything that I do help educate people on are all facts. And I make sure that I do my homework. This ain't no you know, I'm trying to make a name for myself or anything like that. Okay, so go ahead and let me see. Are you girls trying to call in? Go ahead and call in. Let me see who does first. Or you know what? I think I could start that way. And then I don't know where the other one's at. Much respect to you guys too. Newport Beach, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Alright, hold up real quick, okay? Let me see. I think they're calling. Hold up real quick, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh, why? Hold up real quick. I waited on it for this. Okay. So long. Is this I don't know if this is long. Wait up, Sola's requesting? Hold up real quick, okay? Let me make sure I get them all on the line. I'm trying to get them all at the same time. Oh, okay. I was just making sure. I don't know how to get with the other ones, their names under. So, well, you go ahead and reach out, okay? But you're gonna call right now. Okay, bye. Bye. All right. Sorry, had some troubles real quick. Just want to know the first words from him to these women. Yeah, you know what? Another thing is that you know, they need to come forward. A lot of people that you know, I came forward out of my own you know, for my own self and stuff like that. Because I felt I had a need to. I had to do that. You know, a lot of people feel that they don't need to come forward and they don't need to speak on the subject or anything. Like you know, whoever you know promoted. Okay, here we go. Sorry. That's all I'm giving. Nah, and I'm sure he's not gonna give a statement. But I urge him. You know, I'm sure he will see this that he does give a statement, and he does say something. You know. How come it's not going live? Hold up, real quick. You know, if you were being accused of something, wouldn't you want to defend your name? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's right at all. What the heck's going on? How come it's not letting me go? Hold up, real quick. How come it says unable to join? What are you talking about? Hold up, real quick. is my internet's acting dumb. Hold up, real quick. I'm gonna get this shit started. Here we go. Mona, is it letting you go through? I'm trying to go live with you. No, that's it's the other thing, Mom. This one?
Yeah, and then you go press them.
I wonder why it's not. The heck, bro? Okay, here's another one. Hold up. Sorry for the delay, you guys. My bad. I'm gonna have to do it on my. You know what? Probably because I'm doing it for my iPad. But I was on my iPad yesterday. I did, bro. I did click the arrow. Is that why? Because the filter? You know what? Hold up. Maybe that's why. Hold up. You think that's why? Hold up. Let me check real quick. Let me see if that works real quick. Sorry, guys. My bad. I think it was because the filter was on. What the fuck, bro? Where is it at? Try again. Request again, because I think it was because I had the filter on. My bad. We see all three people. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see? Or no? Both of them were in IG with the filter. Now they're gone. Man, my bad. I'm trying to go live with them, but I don't know why it's not going through. Hold up. The girls were on. Damn, they were on. I requested again. Let me see. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Okay, we got two of you on. I think there's one more, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
First of all, I just want to tell you girls, thank you so much for joining in, and I really appreciate you guys for having the courage to come forward. And you know, you're going through a lot, and a lot of people, you know, they don't have no understanding because you know they haven't been put in a situation that's been similar to yours. But this needs to be put out there. You know, it's really important because um, a lot of people, and I don't want to say just girls get taken advantage of because guys do, but for the most part, a lot of women, young women, get taken advantage of, and you know that's not right. You know, and mind manipulation, narcissism, and just disrespect to taking advantage of somebody's heart, you know, or good spirits or good intentions is not cool at all. And that's something that you just don't do. And especially, you know, when you're raised with like our cultura, our culture, that's something that we learn at a young age is to respect our women, you know. So I just want to thank you girls for coming forward, and man, all my respect to you guys. You know, if you guys want to go ahead, I don't know who wants to go first, but you could go ahead and introduce yourself. You don't have to use your real name if you don't want to, but whatever you want to use, go ahead. You girls could, one of you girls could start by introducing yourself. Anybody?
Well, okay, my name is Mona. I mean, my face is on here, might as well.
Right.
Um, and First and foremost, we want to let it be known that the reason why we decided to talk and do it this way, which is, a major way, it's because we know there's others that are still in it, that are still following him, defending him. And
Right.
we are hoping that, with one of us, that one word that we might say might help them, um, wake up, take that blindfold off. We're not here to have people believe in what we have to say, but we know we're walking in our truth. And this experience has been real. It's been it's been real humbling. And just know that we're walking in our truth, and we just want people not to believe in us, but do their own research, like we have been, since shit hit the fan.
Right. Right. Okay. So Mona, and what's your name?
Angela.
Angela. Nice to meet you, Angela. I'm Daniel. I mean, we've talked on the phone, but
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Face to face.
Nice to meet you as well.
Um.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, just like Mona said, like we're not here to like bash or belittle anybody or talk shit or any of that. Just to state the facts and show things from our perspective, because a lot of shit has gone down and a lot of things have been said, and it's just we just want to clear the air, and kind of take a stand for the people who can't really put themselves out there yet or are not ready to. So just kind of lead the way for the people who have been affected, or just give them some comfort or something. This is not an easy thing to do. Like, I'm nervous as hell right now, but here we are. But we're doing it.
Right. So I don't know if you girls seen my live the other day, or the one that I first put out. I'm not used to putting lives out there. I don't like being on camera like that. I feel like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. I guess because I'm from the '90s, like I'm not used to all this stuff. But um, I went ahead and I did a live the other day, and it was it kind of got into a rant where, like, I mean, my feelings were affected because I felt taken advantage of. I felt very disrespected. Growing up in East LA in a neighborhood, or anybody that grows up in a barrio, that's one thing that we don't take lightly is disrespect. And for me to bring somebody into my home or around my children, just around me, period, it's you gotta really you gotta really have respect for yourself, morals, etiquette, and know how to carry yourself, because they're like, they say, who you kick it with, right? So yeah, I felt like betrayed, so my first encounters with this guy, I don't know if you guys seen, or he contacted me because I guess he seen my podcast, and or the podcast that I was on being interviewed, and he found out that I teach cultura, or culture. A lot of people were tagging me to him, asking if I knew about him and what was Choloani, or was he saying, was it true, and stuff like that. And so, that was my encounter with him, and that's basically how I met him. But it was like he came out of nowhere, and a lot of stuff that he said, or when he introduced himself, was very conflicting. Like, being from a neighborhood over here, and nobody knew him from the neighborhood over here. Um, Also, a lot of things that he said that he had been through was, like, I found out later, to be like a straight lie. Like, everything was a lie. And I didn't like, even though he's white or whatever, I mean, that wasn't the biggest thing that disrespected, or I felt disrespected by. It was just when I heard your stories, all the girls, like, dude, that's really like, man, some brainwashing shit. Like, how could you brainwash somebody like that, for your own benefit and stuff like that? It's crazy, But if you girls want to go ahead, one of you, whoever wants to go first, how did you meet him, and like, what was your encounter like, and how did that go? How did that, go on,
Go ahead, Amber.
I'll go first. I come from a mixed background. I have Spanish, indigenous, Mexican, Italian blood. So I've always been kind of on a mission to figure out like where I come from, who my ancestors are, and I don't have elders to teach me these things. So I've been on a mission, just like everybody else, to learn and embody all of that. And I came across his videos and just really respected what he was putting out there and what he was saying, and it really it sat well with me. So I just messaged him one day just to show appreciation, nothing else, just like, hey, you know, coming from somebody to who doesn't have elders, and just explained that to him and just was like, yo, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I just want you to know that what you're doing doesn't fall on deaf ears. And from there, it just kind of developed organically, or manipulatively, I guess is a better way to put it, because he kind of just mirrored and mimicked everything that I had gone through. I kind of just gave up everything that made me vulnerable just because I trusted him on a spiritual level. And it was about 2 months into talking to him every day and learning and trying to learn about all the ancestry and everything, till there was an agreement to start on a medicine tattoo for me. At that point, it's when I welcomed him into my home. I was alone with him for an entire weekend, extended period of time, and it just developed from there. From there, it just continued on and on. Everyday conversations, you know, talking about cutting ties to the civilized world and civilized comforts, and teaching this and talking about a diet. And I started the diet, and I was on that diet for close to like 4 or 5 months through everything happened. But as all of that progressed, like, kind of got suspicions about the quote sister on the land, pieced things together through that. And then as far as the accident, I was on my way home from where I live now, there was a death in the family. So I was on my way home for a funeral, and happened to be driving through Albuquerque the time that he was airlifted into the hospital. So I stayed, and I literally sat in the parking garage of that hospital for about 6 hours to wait and see what was going to happen, if he was going to be released, if he was going to make it, like what was just going on. So I listed myself as next of kin, because I kept calling in, trying to see what I was going to do, what I could do. And I stayed there for the next few days, rented a hotel, missed a funeral, and ended up going back to his land to pick up Tiffany, to take her out there to go make sure that we could take him some food. And in the time that I spent with Tiffany, going from Albuquerque and to the land and back, I spent like a total of 3 days with her. The web of lies just quickly just unraveled in front of me. And I could clearly see that she was not who he portrayed her to be. She was not just the sister on the land. She was very, very emotionally involved, and also very emotionally unstable, if I'm being honest. She spilled the beans on everything, you know, like she told me that like he didn't actually even hunt, that the meat that they had there was, they bought it from town. He had told everybody the stories about how his entire family was killed and he was the last one. Like that was a lie. She told me about the brother in San Diego. It was just one thing after another. And like, as I sat there and watched her and watched how she reacted to things, like I could see that she was more than a willing, like she wasn't really, like she may have been manipulated into things at the beginning, but she was a willing participant at that point, because she talked about how she made all of his regalia, or she did this and she did that for him and took care of it, like recorded the videos and did all of that stuff and everything, and then knew about his mental condition. And I ended up finding his regalia on Etsy. So it's like it just started to become really apparent to me, you know, and like that's when I knew I needed to get out of there. I did talk to the hospital about his mental condition because they had called me when he started to get delusional and combative and stuff. He tried to escape from the hospital room. They transferred him back to the ICU. They just needed more security for him, whatever. So they wanted me to approve to do a lumbar tap on him to make sure that he didn't have a brain infection. And at that point, that's when Tiffany instructed me to let them know that he was actually schizophrenic. And he does have past history of this kind of behavior, and to deny the tap. So from that moment on, I really just like saw the forest for the trees and understood the role that she was playing in everything, and she was an active participant. So I began to step back and just let things be and kind of go on with my life. But then once this GoFundMe thing popped up, it just reopened the wound of everything, and it just based on lies, because knowing that he wasn't in the hospital anymore, and like talking to the doctors the whole time, like they never expressed any concern for his injuries to be life-threatening. Like I would call like every 3-4 hours, like, hey, I just wanted to check on things, how are things going, you know. And they would say, you know, like, we're just cleaning the bandages, everything is good, you know, like the wound is open because we can't close it quite yet, you know, like just changing the band. Like there was never any like I should be concerned about anything, you know. So it was just like that. And I saw a couple people ask why Tiffany wasn't listed as next of kin. It's a good question. I was there. I drove in. I was there at the right place at the right time. Wrong place, wrong time, depends on your perspective, I guess. But I was there, and I was already there, and I was in contact with her the whole way. So I just went with it and did what I needed to do to find out what I needed to find out, I guess.
Right. I mean, man. Wow. So when you put, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. When you put yourself down as next to kin, did she have any problem? Like, did she have a problem with that? Did she tell you anything like, don't do that or anything like that? No.
Oh, she told
No.
me, she's like, I feel like you're an extension of me, and you would be doing everything that I wanted to be doing.
Wow. Okay. Um. So you were down there for how long? How long were you down there in New Mexico?
I was in Albuquerque for 2 days,
Okay.
2 maybe 3 days, and
So
then
you.
I was in on the land for two nights, and then left on the morning.
Oh, how is that? Like, I mean, how can you describe how it is? Like, when you got there to the land and stuff, was the, I mean, because he made it seem like he lived like a straight savage, like he straight lived like in the dirt and stuff like that. He gave
Yeah,
a sob story, and when we were down here, homies reached out. I mean, I even gave him money. Sad to say, but I felt for him, and I just wanted to help out in any way that I could. So, how was it? Can you describe it? Or
it's off grid. It's legit off grid.
oh,
But they do have civilized comforts, so don't let them fool you on that. They like he played it out. The manipulation started with me because he knew that I have that same caring heart, and he told me that it gets so cold there in the winter time that he can't sleep, and he sleeps with 3 layers of clothes on and a ski mask and all this stuff. So I felt bad, but when I showed up, there was a propane heater in his little shelter. um, they have solar panels. They have, in her tiny home, she has a stove. She has a distiller. She told me she makes her own vodka and her own gin. She Yeah, they don't live on a reservation. They just live on land that they purchased that's under her mom's name. They they have chickens. They have a meat shed that he built. They are living off grid, but they definitely have their civilized comforts that they try to tell everybody else to get rid of. You know, like they watch movies every night. You know, like he had taught, yeah, like straight up, they watch movies every night. He had talked a lot about, he would talk shit on people who would do like drugs or psychedelics to as the gateway into the cosmic realms or upper realms and everything. And come to find out they eat shrooms. You know, like there was just so much shit that just like unfolded right in front of me, like one thing after another. And I'm like,
Hypocritical,
yeah,
hypocritical, right? Yeah,
yeah. And
that's
like, yeah, she was there for a movie night.
wow.
Yeah.
So you know what was funny to me is finding all this stuff out that he grew up in Florida and all this and that, and it's funny because when he would have conversations with me or with anybody around here, he acted like he didn't even know some of the English language. Oh, well, how do you say this word, or what does this word mean?
Yes.
What the
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the English word for it?
How you
right,
say all the time.
How
How
do you
you
say it
say,
in English?
right, and he speaks perfect English.
yeah.
That's crazy. So do you know if he associated himself with any of the people on the real reservation right there? Did he have any contact with them or?
They had one gentleman that they kept in contact with for a significant amount of time. I don't know if he's comfortable releasing information, but I know that they spent some time living on his property and some other things. Like they manipulated him too. They crossed lines with him, and he's a good guy. He's a very good guy.
Mhm. As far as whatever he did as in his teachings and trying to kind of I mean essentially like it comes out now like how he was trying to build this cult and have women and like he was the alpha male. Like, what did you get any sense of that when you were like in the beginning stages of meeting him?
No,
No, but there were
he
stages. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
like he plays a long game, you know, like he's very smart. He's not a dumb individual at all. And I mean, I'm not a gullible person, you know, like I'm intelligent, I'm educated, you know, so it's not like I just was like, let's do this. This is a great idea, you know, like I just wasn't on just jumping on board, you know, but um he he follows all of the textbook like sociopath. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, licensed psychologist, but I've had enough life experience that I should be. But
Right.
um, he follows all of the textbook sociopath stuff, like just mirroring, love bombing, like makes you feel super special, you know, like told me that I came from an ancient bloodline, like just bullshit lines, like the most cosmic fuckboy lines you could ever put out there, you know, like that's just, and like looking back, I'm like, damn, you know, like that, like you really got me with that, you know, like it slips through the cracks because you don't really expect that to be what's coming at you from a spiritual person, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, that's a trip. Um, so as far as if you want, if would you care to speak on the? Did you join that diet as well?
I did,
Wow,
I
and
did.
what was that? Can you explain what that consists of, or how he explained it to you, if you don't mind?
He explained it as it's like the ultimate way to like heal your vessel, essentially. It's all animal products, all raw meat, grass fed, free range, everything, raw eggs, raw milk,
Organs.
raw organs. I never ate the organs. I wasn't going that far. He's told me that he reserved the raw organs and stuff like that for people who are actually sick
Right.
upon meeting him because, you know, he's the healer. Um, so I never had to go down the route of the organs or anything like that, but I was definitely eating the raw meat and raw eggs and milk and making the yogurt and all that kind of stuff. So raw animal fat. Like even my dogs are now eating raw meat. So I mean, I guess there's a silver lining.
How did you feel, you know, the first time that I mean, how did you go about purchasing this stuff? And then how did you feel? Like, did you ever think to yourself, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, did
Yeah,
you ever?
I did. I found a local butcher that's grass fed, um, carcass, like nose to tail. Like I did my research, you know, like I really put effort into doing what I was supposed to be doing, considering what I was given, you know, to do it the right way. I eventually ended up cutting out the grocery store altogether, so I sourced everything from local places. So I mean, I was doing well in a sense, you know, to just support local and to support those around me. But I looked at it in a sense like if this is actually something spiritual, I might as well give it a shot and see what happens.
Right,
And didn't want to discredit it or discount anything like that to but without giving it a chance. You know, don't knock it till you try it.
right. And how did it make you feel? You know, I mean, was there any time where you just it didn't set well in your stomach or anything like that? Like, how did I mean?
Um I I have a background of being a competitive athlete in the history in my past, so I'm
Right,
used to like crazy diets and stuff like that. So it wasn't too crazy for me to transition into this. Um, I did get some like stomach pains towards the beginning, some constipation. I'll be honest, but it eventually worked itself out, and like your energy drops pretty significantly because you have no carb sources in your diet. You're just all animal. So while your body transitions over from carbohydrates as a fuel source to fats as a fuel source, like your energy shifts, your body, you go through a lot of changes. You know, I lost 10 pounds. My energy did shift. You know, eventually I came back to my normal like status quo and my normal baseline of energy and everything. So it wasn't, I mean, Mona, you could speak to the diet more than I can. You've had more troubles with it, so I'll let you take that too.
I started it took him over a year to convince me get on the diet because when he presented it to me, I was like, no, I'm not doing that, you know. And a couple of months in, that's when he introduced me to Tiffany, and I am now assuming that he introduced her to me so she could kind of help him out, you know, into getting me there. And so I had some health issues back in December of 2020, and that was a little bit over a year after he first presented that to me because I met him back in July 2019. So I've known him for that long. I've known her for a year and a half now. And she told me also she was Lakota. She was from the Lakota tribe, that her mom was Native and she had an Asian, and that she never knew her dad, but her dad was Native as well. So that's why I never questioned her, because she would always talk about how people would always get on her because she was light skinned and she had green eyes, and you know, and how much she hated that. So I felt, you know, I have no reason to question her because, you know, my mom is Mexican and she's white as hell. She has red hair, you know? So fast forward to December, when I had health issues, I decided to just do the diet because my body doesn't react well to medication, you know, Western medicine. So I decided to do it. I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. And he had me eating raw meat, raw organs, raw eggs, the same yogurt, raw yogurt that we would make, raw milk, and I got really sick actually, and I remember telling him that I had severe digestive issues in the past, and I was like, well, you know, if it involves a diet, just make sure, you know, you're giving me something that's right, because you know, I've had all these issues before. You know, so he gave me this shit about how he had healed all these people. You know, he gave me specific stories about seven different people, you know, that again, like I believed because who would make up some shit like that? And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. You know, I got really sick. I lost 50 pounds. Um, the constipation, I mean, it's something that I won't even say here how bad it is, how bad it got for me. And every time I would come to him with questions about it and telling him how sick I was and what was going on with me, he would say, oh, you're lucky because you don't have it as bad as I did. And he would, whatever issue I was having, he would make up a whole story about how he had it worse, you know, and I would believe him and I would be like, okay, well, mine is not so bad, you know, and I would continue. And I remember specifically one day when I told him that I was adding a little bit of raw cream to my raw eggs because it make them sit better in my stomach. I wouldn't get so nauseous. He said, "Is that what I said on the email?" And he's like, "Because I can't recall." And I'm like, "No, you know, you said just to have them like that, just to shoot them like that." And he's like, "No, well then maybe you should just stick to that." You know, so to him, I became a problem because I started asking and asking more and more and more because I was so sick. I lost all body fat. You know, my body had nothing else to burn, you know. I had no, and I was so lethargic. I had no energy to work out or do anything. You know, I had to quit my job because how sick I was. So, you know, every time, you know, he would give me all these stories about how he had it worse. So then basically pushed me to do my own research, which I should have done in the beginning. And that's why I say, you know, like we're not asking people to believe us, you know, just do your own research, you know. And though I know and I found that there is benefits to this diet, there's a lot of people that benefit from a raw meat diet. It's not for everyone. You don't
Right.
jump in from one day to the next. It's something that you do slowly and gradually, and especially not with all the restrictions he had. You know, the way he had it was so strict where we couldn't have no salt whatsoever, no kind of sugar, no glucose other than what was already in the milk, in the raw milk. We couldn't have anything, no coffees, no teas, no nothing, no fruit, no vegetable whatsoever. So, you know, we realized that that was a way of controlling, mind control, you know, just to see how far maybe we would go. So, you know, I mean, I just, even after his accident, we still, like, because it's still in your head and you're still going. Like, it's not something that you stop, you know? For me, it was 2 years in with this people. So it's, you know, after the accident, I still kept, you know, eating the raw meat because I didn't want to shock my system again by just stopping cold turkey, you know? So it's been about a week and a half, maybe to 2 weeks that I've been eating cooked meat now, you know, and I've been adding well, for maybe like a month before his accident, I started adding, you know, little starches and stuff like that, a little bit of glucose here and there. So now I have fruits and vegetables and shit like that.
Right. So they said that they were doing this diet as well, and that he had when we spoke before, remember that they said that they were living just like that, the strict rules that they had on you, and they were doing all the same stuff, and come to find out that they weren't, right?
No, no.
Um,
She once told me that she had to cook her food, that she was in a hurry because she had to get home and cook her food. And I said, "What do you mean cook?" And she said, "Oh, you know, please don't tell Tepos, when he's not here, when he's in California, sometimes I cook my meat, so it sits better in my stomach, you know?" So then that's when I started like thinking like, wait a minute, you know, something is really off. And then Angela, you tell them what you found at in her tiny home.
Yeah, like I was just looking around, you know, because at that time I was still bamboozled and like trying to gather ideas of what it would be like once I lived off grid because I was in the process of looking for land myself. And I noticed like up on a shelf, she had a bunch of mason jars full of spices. And I asked her, I was like, "Here are those spices up there for your soaps?" And she was like, no, those are from when we were vegan." And she's like, "We just kept them from then." But supposedly that just doesn't line up with their stories, because when they were vegan, they were living in Arizona, and then they went from there to across country, then back to New Mexico. So like, if you're not eating this stuff anymore, like, why are you toting all of these mason jars full of spices across the country? You know, like, if you're not using them for anything, like, why are you keeping those around? You know, so it was just like one thing that made, that's like kind of what started to make me question things. And then she had told me about the cows that he had bought in town and butchered. And then I found I took a walk just to clear my head, and I actually found the cow heads like out on the land. So I was like, well, that one was true. So um yeah, definitely didn't hunt elk like he had let on.
Yeah, he said that he did his own hunting. You know, he was trying to get me to go out there for a cool minute, and you know, telling me that he doesn't invite anybody out to the land. His sister lives about 2 miles away from his trailer, and that
No.
yeah, that he's inviting me because, you know, like I'm an alpha male and stuff like that, you know, and just going on from there, it's like, you know, like, damn, I'm glad I didn't go. That's pretty crazy. When he introduced me to one of the brothers, I won't say his name right now, unless he wants to come forward and say who he was. But you know, we met up, and a good brother in Arizona, and he told me that he was moving forward with the diet, and that I should go ahead and jump on this diet, you know, and you know, in a sense, to show that, you know, you really want to do this, you know, that the movement he called Red Sticks, you know, so that's pretty crazy, you know. I know about eating red meat and raw meat and how long it takes to digest the meat, so I could only imagine, you know, what you girls were going through and or inside your stomach and stuff. That's pretty like I don't know any word to say, but that's you really mess yourself up. You're lucky to be alive. That's all I can say. Like, you're really lucky to be alive because you could die from that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now we know.
Yeah, now we
Now we
know.
know.
um,
You know,
so,
you know, people, sometimes people, you know, like you said, they're quick to judge because they don't know. And like you said, like, people wouldn't know, even if you're close to someone that has been through it and you want to sympathize and want to empathize, um, you wouldn't really know unless you're in it, you know. And like Angela said, you know, we're not naive and gullible. We're very smart women. You know, he fooled 51,000 people, you know,
yeah,
just like, you know, like he had over 51,000 people fooled. And you know, like for me, the diet thing, I came to this fork on the road when it came to my health. And it was, you know, all my life I've had issues with medications. Like, I've always had adverse reactions to them. That's why I opted for this, because of how well he painted it, how well he, all the other stories about him healing people that had 2 weeks to live, and how he healed a 7-year old autistic, nonverbal autistic boy. And that a month after he started the diet, that he actually talked, all these things that, you know, you question, but you get all this elaborate answers, you know.
yeah. Yeah, he knew what kind of words to use, huh?
Hmm.
Almost sounded like a damn poet.
Yeah.
At any time, did you girls see any of cause she has kids, right? Did she see her kids or anything like that? No?
No. When I was
No.
there, she got out a photo album of her kids, and that was all she had seen of them, and I don't know how long.
And as far as you girls know, do you know if he has any kids?
Not that I know of.
Hopefully
Wow.
not.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, we don't need that seed out here, huh? Wow. Um, so I mean, man, there's so many questions. Um, How long did, let's see some of the questions that the audience has. How long did this go on for? How long did you know him, Mona?
For 2 years.
Two
For
years?
2 years, 2 years. And, the same reason why, how Angela said, I was born in Mexico, and, we went from everywhere. We came to the States, back to Mexico, Guanajuato, back to the States, back to Mexico. So, to Mexico City. So I was everywhere. I lost, my parents didn't know our cultura. We didn't know anything, everywhere we ended up moving to, I was always just trying to pick up whatever I could there, because I was already there, um, but I never had that, so that's why, when I came in contact with him, I the things he would say seemed legit to me, and so that's why that friendship started. And 6 months in, after I met him, I met Tiffany, and that's why I said Tiffany went from a victim to a willing participant really quick, because she didn't have one or two chances to warn me and warn the others. Like, she had a chance every waking day, every single day, and she also made up lies for him and about her life.
Right.
It was lies after lies. One of the things, when Angela was down at the hospital, I remember I asked Tiffany, and I was upset. I said, "Why are you not at the hospital?" And that's when she said, "Well, I have to tell you this, but this is heavy. Deppels is a diplomat." And I was
Right.
like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "He was Russell Means' bodyguard," and which that was the story I had already heard. And she's like, which I know it's not true. And she said, when I forgot the year, she said that Russell Means took them to Washington, D.C. to sue the United States for genocide.
Right.
And that, so Russell Means made Tepos a diplomat, and that basically him and her had a target on their back. And that's why she couldn't be or go to the hospital. And
Right.
and that made me question, like, what the hell? Like, you're trying to get us all to move to the land, but
Yeah.
you guys are, in contact with the government, like you guys are being sought after, by the government. What the hell? And so that's when, like, her lies began to, stumble up one upon the other. Like, she couldn't keep up with her lies anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. When he told me,
she has been a willing participant, the entire time. And, this is not someone that I just exchanged text messages with, or IG stories with, or whatever. This is someone I talked to or texted every single day for a year and a half, and we were very close, and she would tell me stories that I don't know if they're true or not. And so when this all happened, we all try to help her. We all try to get her to leave the land. Everybody offered their home to her, so she can get away from him. And she didn't want to.
I think she's already so far gone and manipulated, and I think that you know, like I said earlier, I think I literally, when you study about energy and frequency and stuff like that, I literally feel like this guy, it has that, all that bad energy would be also associated with demonic spirits, like a form of possession, that he's been with her, that's his wife, that she's already too far gone and part of him, that she's in a way possessed too. And
Yeah.
there's no going back from that. Like, I mean, they've come so far into their manipulation that every other word or every word that they say is a lie, and they're just so toxic. They're deserving of each other, sad to say. But I mean, she's a reflection of him, you
Yeah.
know and like Russell Means, the whole Russell Means thing, when he spoke to me about Russell Means, he said that Russell Means, like, he kind of like he saved him from or got him out of prison and stuff like that, and he you know, he was helping Russell Means, and the government killed Russell Means, and he came out with the most craziest stories, you know, which I know, like, you know, if you start spreading some form of truth, you know, like Dr. Sabi, you know, they end up killing you. So I know that part's true, but as far as him saying what he said, I know it was pretty far out. And come to find out, he didn't even know him like that at all. It's like, wow, you know, and the whole story of him being in prison, you know, his story never checked out of him going to any prison. So it's like, damn, you know, where like it's this guy's living this whole fantasy like a damn movie in his own head, you know, and whoever comes in contact with him, they're becoming part of the movie or a scene in that movie, you know. It's fucking crazy. I was gonna ask you, did he ever, you know, I know he uses some form of manipulating girls to be with him in a sexual manner or whatever, telling you that he has like the highest frequency or to bring you back to your whatever. I don't know how he words it. How does he word it?
He didn't word it in any way until after the fact. He kind of just put it out there that he said he was an instrument of great mystery and doesn't question the impulses as they come in because he acts from a place of pure heart and a bunch of other bullshit. But he says that he's at a high enough frequency and he's healed his vessel to a point where he can take you with him to whatever higher realms or frequencies that he's on. So I think I got a filtered version of what he's told some of the other females. I was never referenced to the sacred penis because I would have jumped ship at at the first sign of that one. But yeah, it was never presented to me in that way. He was very, very particular about what he presented to me and how.
Right. So he kind of like tested the waters with each of you and like how far he could get away with things, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. Man. Um. Oh, so were you there when this all went down in the hospital?
I drove in. I was in the hospital parking lot about 15 minutes after he got airlifted in.
Yeah.
Just right place, right time. We're on my trip home from where I live now, but I stayed there for probably in that parking lot for probably like 4 or 5 hours. Just
Mhm.
because you can't go into the hospital because of the COVID restrictions and everything.
Right. And how did that whole you know, that whole confrontation go down? Did you see her just get like she must have been so pissed, huh?
She wasn't like she wasn't really pissed off at me or like she wasn't really angry, you know, like she was upset. She was pretty broken up about it, but she was more pissed off that she wasn't able to consent to whatever he was doing because the way she laid it out to me is they were in a quote civilized relationship when they first met, which was supposedly 10 years ago, and it didn't work out that way for a long period of time, but for whatever reason they stayed together or in proximity to each other and just whatever developed from that. But they I guess he had told her that she needed to prepare herself for other women to come around eventually at some point, and she just asked that he tell her the truth before it happened, and so that she could decide whether or not that was something that she would be capable of going through with or not. But so she was more just mad that she didn't get to like co-sign on the idea.
Right. And there was a point in time where he actually told her about a vision. Can you tell us about that?
That he had a vision and that he saw about 30 people living in the land, and for her to prepare to have about 30 people living in the land.
Wow. Are you girls familiar about with the Manson case?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like,
why I say, you know, I mean, you hear about this, you see this on 2020 episodes, you see this on documentaries and shit, and you never think you'll ever come close to anything like that, you know, because it doesn't, nobody comes up to you and says, hey, you want to join a fucking cult? And then you hop in. I don't think that's not how that works. It takes a very, very long time, and it takes fucking skill, you know, for someone to come out and do that, you know?
yeah. Um, what do you what? Oh my God, man! There's so many questions that are so many ways to take this. What do you think? Do you think it's like women are searching for something? What are your thoughts about that? You know how there's a lot of women, and like I mean, this situation is messed up. Because you girls are wanting to know about your culture, about your lineage, and stuff like that. But sometimes this affects women, and they get manipulated into being in these relationships and stuff, and before they know it, they're trapped, and it sounds like everybody on the outside is telling them, they could be family members and telling them, mija, like, don't, this guy's bad for you, or that girl's toxic for you. What do you think is something that keeps people drawn to stay in these relationships?
I mean, the psychological effects of that kind of manipulation are have the same kind of effects on your brain as like cocaine or drugs do. The extreme highs and lows, they take you really really high, and then you fiend for that when they pull the rug out from under you and drop you into those extreme lows. So you wait it out until you get another one of those highs, and then that by that time you're already hooked. And there have been studies that the effects of it are legitimately just like cocaine on your brain. So it becomes an addiction. Like once you've been manipulated like that to the point, like say where Tiffany is, like she's in it, like she's stuck, and getting her out of there would be, I mean, I don't even know what that would even take at this point, like that's it's just it becomes a drug at that point.
Right.
And I don't think at any point during this whole time any of us thought, dude, we're in a cult, or we're headed for a polygamous commune. Like, we never thought of that, and when it comes to the land, they painted this life that I previously had. I had this when I was younger. And that's why I was like, well, it's possible in the States to live like that. And that's where I want to go. So I started looking at land, and, the price of land. And in Mexico is hella cheap, compared to, where I'm at in California.
Mhm.
So I was like, it's possible. I know how to do all this. I've been there. I can do this. And so that's what draws some of us in. Then and the thing is that they'll grab whatever, they'll find your vulnerable spot, and they'll just fucking feed off that,
Right.
and they'll work on that stuff, and whatever that might be. And every woman is different. Every person is different, woman and man, because there were men involved too, that were manipulated as well.
Yeah. Do you girls know, if you could speak on it, how many women do you know that were involved or associated with this whole thing going down? You have an estimate or a number of how many girls do you think?
That I know of, for
Four, four.
I know of like
five.
5 6 maybe. I've spoken to not that many. There's a couple that I've never spoke to.
Right.
Yeah, five, yeah.
Yeah, I know about six. Um, what is
But he
what is
did say that there were many others. He did tell one of the girls that there were many others. So we don't know, and that's why we decided to do this, because we don't know if those girls are watching this or will watch this, and hoping that they see the real picture here.
Mhm. So if you could give in a kind of I don't know the word to use. If you could say, like, what is the whole strategy do you think that he's trying to do or here?
what he was trying to do.
Like, or what he, I mean, what he was essentially doing. Like, what do you think he was just trying to? Do you think that, I mean, I see a cult. I see him
Yeah,
trying to manipulate women to his own advantage. And
yeah.
the words that he used is literally trying to be with these women and mind fucking them. But what do you what did you see? Do you see the same thing?
The same thing, along with him trying to bring us back to a time that no longer exists. All that hunting shit and eating all the raw meat and not having to do anything civilized. That no longer exists. And he was trying to bring us all there while he was sitting there eating, fucking cooked meat and watching movies and shit.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Is there anything, what would you give a young girl? I mean, what kind of advice would you give them that are maybe, I mean, not in this situation, because this is kind of, I don't want to say rare, but it's kind of rare in our case. Just anybody that would be like in a relationship like that. What's a way to get out? Like,
I mean, I would
or
lead
what are,
with trust your intuition. Like that's the main thing on all of this, because there were, like, looking back, like hindsight's always 2020, right? But like looking back, there were so many different times where I had, like, my intuition was like, something's fucky, this is not right, and like I would seek validation from him to be like, yo, can I talk to you about this, like this, because I would look to him like a teacher, like. And I gave away that power to him. I gave away all my power to him because I felt, and he made it apparent, that he had so much more knowledge than we did, and that we should look up to him for those kind of answers and stuff like that. And I stopped being my own personal guru and gave him all of that power. And that's when my train derailed off the track into Wackoville. Like it just really following that intuition and using your own guiding light to be your own source of truth too, because that will keep you from so many different mistakes and disasters.
right? Mona, what do
And
you,
that what she said about our intuition, and it came a time where we all would ask him questions, and when we had doubts and stuff like that, he would always say, it's not your intuition, it's your ego. You need to do an ego kill. Your ego's not letting you heal. Your ego's making you sabotage your own healing, and you need to set that aside, and with all this questions and this and that, it's not every time. And to every single one of us, he would tell us it was not our intuition, that it was our ego. And then there you are sitting, fighting your intuition, your God-given intuition,
yeah,
and because he's making you believe that you're just, it's just your ego.
right.
So, it's the only thing I could say. I mean, there's really not much advice I could give someone. I'm in no place to give someone advice, but just, yeah, like, listen to your intuition, fucking ask for an ID. Ask to see an ID.
Just asking, because somebody asked me about if this happened to somebody that was close to me, like my daughters or somebody that I knew, what would I want to be done? Um, or what would I do in this situation? And of course, I mean, growing up the way I did, I'm used to taking matters into my own hands, and I can't even say what I would do. Um, I just can't even say, but is there anything, what would you, I mean, what would you want to be done to somebody like this, that it has done stuff like this?
I I want them both to get the help they need so they don't keep hurting themselves and others, because that's all they're doing. That's all they're living here, just nothing but fucking hurt.
Yeah,
Same, like I feel like at this point, like they're their own karma, and I really believe in karma. So I don't wish any ill will upon either one of them. And I know that creator has whatever planned for them that
Yeah.
I mean, they've earned whatever they've earned. You know, it's none of my business.
Mhm.
And I choose to not want to know what happens to them from now on. Like, I just want my life back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as it is, we were all just trying to move. When the whole thing happened, we said nothing. You know, people are just finding this out. People are just hearing about this now. We've been getting hit left and right nonstop every single day with fuck shit after fuck shit after fuck shit, you know, every day since the day of the accident. And, you know, it's been so fucking overwhelming. It's been so real. And we were just trying to move on, you know, and when the whole thing happened with that sob story and the GoFundMe, that's when we were like, you know what, like this is fraud. And, you know, they're fucking trying to come up on people, you know, people that they are people that live off the government. You know,
Yeah.
as much as they hate the government, they're both living off Social Security. And now they're trying to come up on people's money just like that on a quick buck, maybe so they can bounce to another piece of land somewhere else and do the same shit, you know. And it's messed up, you know, because people work hard for their money, you know, and that's not right.
Yeah, you're right. That was messed up. When I seen that GoFundMe, I was tripping because like
And it went from nothing to fucking almost $20,000 in fucking 2 days.
right. Yeah. Wow. That's a trip. So, man, let's see some of the questions. A lot of people, you don't work for me anymore. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions on here? I don't know if you girls would want to answer anything. I know there's a lot of questions as talking, but do you know if her account is still up?
I don't know.
You don't know, huh? Has she tried to reach out or him try to reach out? Nothing, huh?
She reached out when we all distanced ourselves from her. She reached out and she said that she wanted to come and stay with me for a couple of days and that she was just trying to get someone to take care of the land. And I had to fucking reply with a fuck no. You know, you ain't you ain't coming near my family. You know, I just straight up told her, you know, that I didn't know what was real from fiction, and that I couldn't have her here or him or anything that had to do with them, that I just had to remove myself from that whole fuck situation. And after that, I she sent me another message saying that she had already been enlightened to what's gonna happen, and that she wished that she could tell me and fill me in on what was gonna happen, but that she couldn't, that I had to do that on my own. And I took that as her trying to make me get back in, you know, for me
Right,
to ask questions. And the way I saw that message and knowing her and knowing him, I knew that was him. Those were his words. Those were
right,
his, every word on there was him. And I never even replied to that message. I was just like, nope.
right. Somebody asked if there was anybody that was underage that was involved or in this. I know when I spoke with one of the girls yesterday, she was mentioning about, you know, her daughter being in the same room when he was talking about, you know, kind of sexual things and energy and stuff like that, and kind of told her to send her daughter his way so he could help heal her. What do you think
Wow.
about that?
No, that I know of, no. That I know of, there was a young girl, 22-year-old that I knew of, that she was about to start the diet
Yeah,
and to the land, but I can't, you know, until she decides to talk, then, you know, she can.
right. Yeah. Man, that's a trip.
Yeah. I think one of the girls was trying to get in. So if you want, I can end it for
Yeah,
myself. She can get in.
yeah.
All right.
What was
So
her
how
name?
do
Do you know her? Or
It's on Natural Magic.
Natural Magic. Oh, I think I could request her. I think I can
Yeah.
have her on at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Let
here we
me
go. Let's see if she gets it.
oh,
Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Natural Magic. I don't know if you want to say your real name or introduce yourself.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mind. My name is Jennifer.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, and I, like Angela, actually went out on the land.
Uh-huh.
Um, and met him in person, and there were ceremonies. There was like, there was
Movie night.
like what
Movie night.
movie? There was definitely movie night. Can vouch for that.
Oh, wow.
That was an interesting thing for me because he was always like on, I don't know, like people's pages and lives and stuff talking about like, every week, every month, like get rid of something from the civilized world, And he kept mentioning TVs and all this kind of stuff. Like, y'all, I got rid of my Xbox. I got rid of my TV. Like, I did that shit. I did that shit. And then I come to the land and realize, like, they're like living it up. Like, I've lived off grid too. I've lived off grid without any running water, without solar, without a bathroom. They have all of those things. Like, it's pretty cushy out there. Like, I was definitely very surprised about how nice it was,
Yeah.
given how they talked about it.
Yeah.
Given how they talked about it. So, um,
Yeah. Is
that,
it just me or does this feel like we're in a damn movie?
100%.
yeah, I've kept like when you said Marvelous, like that this was like us all getting sucked into his movie. That was like a huge turning point for me, because I called him the day, I guess, the same day that Tiffany basically called him from the truck with Angela there, confronting him because we had all just found out that, the three of us were intimate with him. And as far as I know, that's it. I can't verify that, but isn't that what we're aware of, Angela, so far?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
Um,
So we were just thinking like this is a little like, you know, lovers quarrel. It wasn't like that, but it just felt like Tiffany was putting us in that kind of drama. So yeah, it was obviously like disconcerting and shit like that, but like I discovered other lies that I was way more interested in than the fact that he was having like sex with other people. I'm like, you're a free man. Like I have no claim to you whatsoever, so I don't have really that much beef with that part, but like I trusted you as someone who told the truth. Like that was huge to me, and we communicated about that all the fucking time. And so I ended up calling him and confronting him just about every layer that I could get to about like what were the lies, because I started feeling, that kind of destabilizing experience of like, dude, you've shared so much about like culture and like who we really are and stuff. And I want to just say, like, when you asked about like what we'd all share with younger women, I just want to share this with everybody. Like, we are all looking to belong. We're all looking to fucking belong. We're all looking to have like well-meaning people who are a little further on the path supporting us. And
yeah.
I actually really believe in that. I believe in mentorship so powerfully, and I don't think there's any reason that the average person out here couldn't understand if somebody mirrored the exact right things that you needed to feel like you belonged to something much bigger than you previously thought. You can imagine, you can put yourself in those shoes of how that makes you forget things that are going off in your body. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's like where we miss the intuition. So we don't need to like be ashamed of these kinds of things happening in any degree. Like, most people won't be on the verge of a blossoming cult like we were. However, like, we have all been in situations, whether it's with a partner who is really no good for us or whatever, where, you know, we want to belong, we want to be a part of something so badly that we abandon ourselves. And I know Angela spoke to this, and I want to amplify it. You know, at the end of the day, in order for anybody to get into this space, we have to be willing to give our power, even if it's unconscious. So that's like an important piece that I just want to share with everybody. And we've all been in a situation like this to a certain degree, where we have outsourced our ability to know, our authority, our intuition, our what's the right way to live. We're all looking for some fucker to tell us what that is, because we don't want to bear the whole weight of that responsibility. And I'm sorry, this is like a message right now, but I think it's really, really important for everybody who's watching, beyond even like my story coming out. Like, that's what I'm learning from going through this. And I just, you know, I want people to understand, like, this is nothing to be ashamed of. This is something to be seen in, and to recognize it's a part of the collective healing that we're all being called to do. So I feel like we all got this experience because we're on the front lines of this issue. It's part of our soul's work to understand sovereignty. And no culture, no like elders, no anything can actually be the one who's in charge of your soul. That's what each individual has to do. So regardless of what traditions tell us, regardless of what some teacher tells us or a partner tells us, or our parents tell us, you know, it has to be something that is a full body fuck yeah. Okay, y'all? Like, that needs to be a principle that we start living our lives by, because when we start living like that, the right things people say, they no longer have a charge to make us feel all special all of a sudden, because we give that to ourselves by taking responsibility for our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, you know, when you guys were watching movie night, or this intimacy went down, was this at separate times, or was this
Separate times.
okay?
Yeah, separate times. There was a weird lie that like went down between him and Tiffany. Like, he did not tell, like, we had this trip, planned me coming out there for like a month, and
Right.
she didn't find out I was coming until 30 minutes before I showed up on the land.
Oh wow.
And this is interesting. Like, he later told me, like, in the hospital, that she had once, like, they had gotten into a fight about me at one time, like maybe a month or two prior to this experience.
Right.
And that night she pulled a gun out, threatened to kill herself, threatened to kill him, all that stuff. And so he brought me into that situation knowing that she was capable of going there. So, and like everybody else, like, he talked to me like she was just a sister on the land. Like, I
Right.
had no premonition. Maybe that was just me being oblivious, and that's cool. I'll take responsibility for it. But I had no premonition that they had had a relationship. And from what they both expressed, just so everybody has the clarity, like, they're not officially married. They dated long term. They ended the conventional side of the relationship for 2 years, like for the past 2 years. And that's when, you know, I think Tiffany made her deal with him about, like, hey, just as long as you give me the info, let me know what's going on so that I can know for my own health as a woman whether I want to do this or not, which I think is a completely respectable request of any sexual partner, which is another reason I was, you know, that was the only reason I was upset about finding out he was sleeping with other people, because I think there should be transparency with your sexual partners, especially when you're talking about health all the fucking time, and how he basically talked to all of us, I think, in our own ways about, like, how no one was healthy to have sex with because of the way they were eating. He
Right.
made it out like he was the only healthy body that was out there to have sex with. And, you know, again, that's a condensed understanding now. he didn't offer it just like, I'm the only healthy male to have sex with. Like, he's too smart for that. So y'all understand, like, I think schizophrenia is being tuned into a frequency and getting stuck there. Like,
Yeah.
he was not in a schizophrenic state in dealing with us. He was completely capable of forward thinking, a will of his own. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and I'm glad some people are like noticing, like, we're all eloquent, intelligent women. Like, it can happen to you. That is what I'm saying. If you were in our exact shoes, it could have happened to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's a respect that we need to have as a collective for people who go through this.
Right. Somebody asked, and I don't know if you could touch on this, but I think it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of important. At the same time, you know, some could say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, you know, you still had sex. But I mean, was there any protection involved?
So I did not have penetrative sex with him.
Mm.
So that was not an issue for me. I can't speak for anyone else.
Okay.
No.
Right.
I didn't have sex with him.
Wow. Um,
I didn't touch his
Mona's the lucky one.
Yeah, Mona's out.
Pee-pee.
We've got degrees to this.
Yes.
yeah.
He did tell me though that I shouldn't sleep with my boyfriend because my boyfriend wasn't a healed man, and that in order for me to recalibrate my chakras, that I had to sleep with only a healed man, and that that the penis is a tuning fork and blah blah blah. So I'm like, well, so what do I do? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did say that, you know, if I was ever having issues with, like, that I shouldn't masturbate in to manifest, use masturbation as manifestation, and that if I ever had those thoughts and needs, that I should call him and he'll guide me through it. And I was like, he's gonna guide me through, like, he's gonna tell me how to,
Guided masturbation
right?
versus guided meditation. It's guided masturbation now, y'all.
Oh
And
my
he would
God.
guide me through it, and I never, of course, I was like, what the fuck? But I did take it as he implied that I could only sleep with him because according to him, he's healed because of his dietary practices and all this, you know, cosmic fuckboy shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I would
Wow.
also
Yeah.
like to add that Tiffany was more upset about the fact that I hadn't been on the diet for a year, because he had told her that he wouldn't coalesce, is the way that he would put it, with anybody who hadn't been on the diet for the year, because their bodies weren't healed and their vessels weren't healed, so they weren't worthy of that. So she was still buying into all of the bullshit to know, like, well, it hasn't been a year. Like, bitch, it's fake. Like, why are you worried about that? Like, it's not like. So she was still a part, like this. She's an active participant, willing participant.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's obviously a willing participant when he's using her to, you know, oh, I think you should talk to her to make you feel better, because now it's a girl coming at you and trying to guide you and lead you into the slaughterhouse, you know? So that's really where I mean, fuck this dude. Yeah. Wow. So have you guys ever I mean, obviously when you guys started talking, um oh my God, I don't even know how to ask. Like, this is just so crazy, man.
I mean, honestly, nothing surprises us anymore, so you can
Nothing's
just come out
crazy
with
anymore.
it.
Just nothing's crazy anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Did he ever talk about his dad, who his dad was?
No.
No.
Wow. Did he ever say or show you guys pictures of his grandmother that he said he lived on the reservation with?
No.
No.
Wow.
No, he claimed that they had a standoff on his land with like the FBI and Texas Rangers, and that like his whole family that lived on the land, other than him and his uncle, were killed.
Yeah.
And he was like, what, 13, 14 at the time, according to him.
Right.
and that him and his uncle got put in prison, like full on prison, him as a child. Um, he told stories of like going into like maximum security places and being
Yeah.
tortured there. Like it was just like he used the whole, that was all like just theater, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
He was really invested in his theater. And honestly, like if I could say there's one thing that Owen Thomas Phillips is, he's a storyteller and a damn fine one. Like I'm telling you, like Hollywood blockbuster level fine storyteller.
He
Um,
could have opted
yeah,
for that. He could have just went that
yes,
route.
Yeah.
yes. Like he is so creative and he's so convicted about what he's saying. Like he is very skilled at, you know, playing on emotions at just the right moment, you know, and leading people to uh, I think the responses that he wants. Do you know what I mean? And he continues to manufacture like affirmative responses and you know, I've been mirrored by sociopaths before. Um, it was never this like
Seamless.
slick,
It was
He put
never
seamless.
this
Be
slick.
seamless.
he put every
Yeah,
sociopath to shame. Every narcissist, every liar, he put everyone to shame.
Um,
everyone.
real quick, I'm sorry, Kaz, Martinez, I think she would want to join as well. I think four is the limit though. Do you guys know who that is? I don't have all the names written down, but
No.
um, she's
I
involved
think
too.
she's the lady that was on the
Last night.
other like, that you had, yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, so I want to ask you girls, what do you think? I mean, coming to, the truth and everything that's come out now, what are some of the steps that a person can take, just to move forward and all this? What do you girls recommend, for yourselves as well as for any other women or men going through this stuff? What are some steps that somebody can take to move forward and heal the healing process? What do you think?
I mean, the
I
big
mean,
thing is, go ahead, Mona.
oh, like I just, for me, it's I'm learning as I go. I think everybody else, when this all happened, we all made sure that we held space for each other and let everybody do their own thing. We've not said, oh, you should do this, you should do that, let's do this, let's do that. We're letting everybody do their own thing because we're on our own individual journey here. And I think it's different for everyone. And that's what's really important here, that we acknowledge that we let everybody do whatever the fuck they need to do to heal and do better or to get out of those situations. And the most important thing is listen to your body. Like when the whole thing with the diet, I started doing what is called intuitive eating as well. Where I just listen to my body now. And same thing goes for my healing. Whenever there's times that I think it'll help me if I meditate or if I fucking do all the spiritual things. And then there's times that it'll make me feel better if I just lay there and watch a movie or read a book. Like everybody's different. Everybody's healing journey is completely different.
Yeah.
Angela.
I think the big thing for me is to really accept all of the feelings and let them come and feel them all and not be like ashamed, because I mean, this is embarrassing shit to talk about, like it's not easy to put all of this out on Front Street and be like, yeah, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to us, and like we got wooed, we got bamboozled, like that's not something that's easy to put out there, and it's especially not something easy to embody in your own self. But like letting go of like the shame and the embarrassment and all of those negative feelings attached to it, and really taking like what is actually good from it, because even though he's full of shit, like he did learn a lot of really good history and wisdom and knowledge from somewhere, be it Google or like someone actually taught him that somewhere. He did have some solid messages to deliver. He just ended up using all of everything beautiful that he had for evil reasons, so you have to really take the good with it, because there is a lot of good with it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't know these two women right here if it wasn't for this situation, and like I would absolutely lose my shit if I didn't have these two women right here, you know. So I mean, there's a lot of good that comes with the fucked up situations that you go through, and don't discount that.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I really feel like the stages of grief are important and they're non-linear. Like, I don't know, like it took me a really long time to get to anger. And I think it's really important that people express their emotions on purpose, because if you let it fester within you and you kind of push it away from yourself, like it's going to get stuck in you, or it's going to come out, you know, in a place that really doesn't serve you. And there's a way to discharge emotions and express them in a way that allows you to actually like have that experience that discharges something that could be traumatic. You know, I think that's really an important part of like trauma understanding now, is that like, you know, by showing up to the hard situations in positive ways, like us women actually forming community and like not, you know, I don't know, not being clucky about it, you know, like that was a positive thing that we could do, being supportive and also honoring and respecting each one of our journeys, you know, dealing with our emotions as they come up, sitting with it, feeling it, expressing it when we need to. Like that is how we heal, y'all. We don't need actually any sort of change. We just need to show up right now as we would if we were healed. And you can picture that and you can understand that, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about information and the internet, you know, is like it's everywhere. The ways that we can nurture ourselves and lead ourselves when we're ready, you know. But I think like accepting situations like this, that's like a first step, you know what I mean? Like that's why the first known step in the grieving process is denial. Most people push away the fact that it even happened for them. So I think this is the reason why, whether we're all conscious of it or not, that we're showing up right now. Because it's like, this is nothing to be ashamed of. It does suck that we all have to spend our night like this. But on a other note, if anyone can pick up something, a new level of understanding or, you know, an insight, or they can see themselves in our experience, then that makes it all worth it for me to fucking show up here.
Yeah.
Because it definitely increases the value of the experience altogether for me, because I've already learned so much about myself, and I know a lot of people will think this is weird. I'm really grateful for everything that happened. You know, I was not damaged to any sort of level that I don't have the tools and the support for, and for that I'm really lucky. You know, we caught him, I think, at that tipping point, that switch. You know, I think at one point his transmission was really true and really powerful, and that brought a lot of people in. And then I think the added energy that everybody was giving to him, you know, that made him think he was infallible. You know, it made him think he was actually egoless. And he actually said that to me in the hospital, and that was the moment I knew. I was like, okay, that's a delusional human being right there, or someone who's tuned on to a frequency that where that's true for him, and okay, he's not going to change his mind about that.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
Oh, basically, like I asked him, because he had said, like Angela pointed out, all of his impulses were based on his, like, he was in his nourishing center point. All of his actions were from that place. So he didn't question his impulses because he knew they were serving that place. And I was like, well, if there's several women who you have yourself taught about the matriarchy, if there's 3 women close to you who are checking you on your transparency, then why are you not allowing yourself to be moved and to have relationship with these women? Like that would be the embodiment of your principles. And he's just like, you know, I know that I'm doing that because I have no ego. And I was like, wait, so like, how do you know you have no ego? And he was like, well, look at my life and look at all of your lives. And I was just like, I actually think we're like, I mean, I can't speak for Tiffany. Her life does sound terrible. But for the most part, it seems like we have great lives outside of this interaction. So I didn't know where he was coming from there, other than like he'd gotten a God complex. All the energy had finally gone to his head. And that's where I thought he started making moves towards like gathering more followers, more women who like, you
Yeah.
know, were obviously serious about doing the diet, because there was a lot of people who were either on the verge or were doing it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we caught him like at the beginning of the turn. And
Yeah.
that's where like a cult leader goes from, maybe they were on the path towards being like a bodhisattva or something, but they get this ego burst and then they identify and believe what's going on, and then they turn into, like, I don't know, a fucking Sith Lord. You
Yeah.
know, like that's the difference. They could have gone on one direction and they chose to not be checked and to, like, you know, be the authority, instead of a collaborator with life. And yeah, I think that's where all this shit kind of went awry. And we noticed it right away when that shit kind of happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't apparent until he got injured and got
Yeah.
questioned, like, you know, in an intense way all at once. So,
And that's what me and the brother from Arizona were talking about, that how this all took place at the right timing, and he really like literally cut his own leg off,
Yeah.
you know.
yes.
He cut his own leg off, and all this shit came to light at the right time. And now you girls are here, and you're educating. I mean, everybody that's watching, or everybody that's come privy to, our knowledge on what's going on. A lot of people are still like, what happened, or what's going on, or is it because he was white, or is it because of this and that? No, it's literally manipulation at its highest. This is really at its highest work. Like, you would think that this dude works for the damn CIA, the way he used these certain tactics to get at each and every one of you. And people do that. Players, they feed off of these stories that women are looking for certain stories. Some women want a pretty boy, some women want a guy with a job, some women want a cholo that's been through it all and doesn't want part. They just want that look, and as well as men too. Some men, when they're younger, they want all these women that supposedly are, just say, like, have nice bodies. But when you get older and you really find yourself, that doesn't matter anymore. You just want somebody that is on your same mindset, somebody that really cares for you, somebody that is gonna be there when you take your last breath, and somebody that you could really count on. When we're at our younger age, it seems that we're looking for a lot of things that are superficial, a lot of things that really it doesn't mean. I mean, we're just foolish. We're just trying to satisfy our fleshly desires, until we have that real awakening. And I speak about that, on my page. A lot of people take it in offense, or like when I talk about, and I don't mean like I'm talking about them, but a lot of girls that are showing their bodies out here, they go and get their boobs done, they get their butt done, and they have all these naked pictures of themselves, or like half naked pictures, and then in the middle of all that stuff, you see a picture of a beautiful child, their baby, and they're talking about how much they love their baby. But look at what the babies are growing up to see. Like, that's something that they shouldn't see. And you see all this stuff. Oh, how come I can't find a man? Or how come, I go through all this shit and my baby's dad is this and that and that and this. And it's like, well, look at what you're projecting. You're gonna get that in return. The same thing, and for men as well too. Men talk about wanting a perfect woman and all this and that, but on the weekends they're at the strip club. They're like, their inbox, they're talking to all kinds of women. It's like, stop what you're doing, step back and find yourself. Because if you don't find yourself, you're not going to be able to find somebody else, definitely. You're always going to find
Yeah.
yourself, confused. A lot of people, you know.
Totally. And I just
But
want to speak to you really quickly. Like, I feel like what anyone chooses to do, like, only they know the energy from which that place is coming. But I would say the majority of women, I know I have done this at a point in my life too, we're objectifying ourselves. And you know what's happening in you by what is happening external to you. You know what I mean? So we can all just self-reflect on that part. But that's true that if we don't deal with whatever it is that we're like seeking to get from the world, we'll never find it. And I think the only place we can all get that is in our relationship with the source, like the all, like the thing that we are as one thing. That's my worldview, my perspective, my spirituality. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but from my vantage point, it's like that's the true lover of our soul. That is the thing that's like having experience through all of us. And we can all have a personal relationship with the life force, like the energy of this universe. Like if you want to call it God, that's great by me. If you don't want to call it God, that's also cool with me. But I do think like a relationship to yourself and life, a good one as a starting point, will start to reflect in all your external relationships. So invest
right,
in yourself, folks, and stop looking at like what other people are doing. Like it's fine to get inspired, but living your truth and finding out what that is, free from tons of external influence, like that's worth trying, man. Like we have one life in this meat suit, this particular meat suit. Like, wouldn't you like to find out, as I would put it, like how God wants to express through you versus how some other motherfucker out here says you should live the most healthy life. And that's, I guess, something that I definitely can offer from this whole experience is like, you don't need anybody on the outside to tell you how it is. Go forth and experiment with yourself and discern what works for you and stand in your fucking truth, boo-boo, because that's the only thing that's going to lead you to a fulfilling life from my limited experience on this planet and what I can see, you know. And there's been lots of bumps to learning that lesson, but I think it's an important one.
yeah. I'm gonna be closing out, but I want to ask you girls, is there any last words or any advice that you can give anybody?
Stay vigilant. Always ask questions, you know, do your research on things, and no matter who it is. I mean, even your spiritual guru, you know, still ask questions because that's where you're really going to learn the most.
Right.
You
All
know,
right.
don't think it won't happen to you. Like, I see a lot of encouraging comments, and I thank you guys for the kind words. And I see a lot of not so kind comments, and we knew that was gonna happen. But I mean, it's don't think it cannot happen to you. It can happen to literally anybody, you know, anybody, and that's fine. You know, I mean, we're like I said, we're not asking anyone to believe us. We're walking in our truth, and that's where our power lies. You know, that's how powerful we are because we're walking in our truth, and we came here and we showed our faces. You know, for this, we showed up.
Yeah, and again, I want to thank you girls, each and every one of you, for you know, also the ones that aren't on live today, for reaching out and sharing you know, their experience and bringing light to what happened. You know, because I don't think that this should happen to anybody, man or woman, and be deceived like that or taken advantage of. So thank you for having the courage and my respect. Also, prayers go out to you girls. And I think that you girls should, you know, get together and start something. You know, educate. You know, start a little movement. Start a page or something. You know, make a whole Instagram and you know, make it a, you know, giving advice or helping somebody. You girls had a lot of encouraging words. I mean, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are listening to this tonight that are looking up to you girls. You know, so thank you once again. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys you know, nothing happens like this to you girls again.
I think we got the boss level, so yeah, I do think teaching about this is like important for all of us, or at least just sharing, you know, with people. But yeah, good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you girls go. Thank you everybody that joined in
Thank
and
you,
tuned in
guys.
and a listen. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the
I
follow.
love you, Angela.
Thanks,
Bye.
Daniel.
Love you guys.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
I love you
Love you
guys.
too.